Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 6.
After a car hit and killed a man crossing a busy Lexington street, we look into why that particular stretch is so dangerous for pedestrians.
Now that an Arctic blast has arrived, we talk to heating repair workers to see what you can do to keep your home warm all winter.
We'll get them on the way, okay?
Yeah, because they're trying to restrain him, so hurry.
All right, we'll get them on the way.
You'll hear the frantic calls made to 911 after a double stabbing outside a school. WKYT News at 6 starts now. Good evening. Witnesses described a frightening scene when police say a man stabbed his estranged girlfriend before turning the knife then on himself.
As we first told you yesterday, Somerset police say Marcos Popche died after stabbing himself outside Meece Middle School. Angie Rodriguez is still at UK Hospital, and we've now learned how school leaders stepped in to help before police arrived. Phil Pendleton has our top story at 6.
Callers to the 911 center weren't exactly sure what was going on as parents were dropping off their children just after 8 o'clock Tuesday morning.
He said the man is down.
Yes, he's raising his head up now. I don't know what's happened. Hurry.
The man was 30-year-old Marcos Popche. Police say he talked 32-year-old Angie Rodriguez into meeting him at the school after she dropped off a child. But that's when he handed her a note that said something about both of them dying, and then proceeded to stab her, then himself. Callers didn't know if there had been a shooting, a beating, or a stabbing.
But you don't know if he was shot or stabbed or anything like that?
I don't know. I just was shocked. You know, I just seen her do something, and I just seen blood. So I don't know what happened.
Both the principal and assistant principal were in the parking lot and responded. One principal actually restrained Popche after he had already stabbed himself and was on the ground. The other principal kicked the knife away. Two radioed the school's front office, who also called 911.
Mr. Miller.
You need him now.
Hearing. We need him now, then.
Well, the law's already on the way.
Mr. Miller, 911 said the police is on their way.
We need an ambulance also, in a hurry.
Popche later died at UK Hospital. Rodriguez is said to be improving there today. In Pulaski County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
We checked to see if Popche had any prior domestic violence offenses in Pulaski County, but all we could find was a DUI arrest in 2009. A horrific accident late this afternoon near downtown Lexington. A road worker had his arm ripped off. Police tell us a crew with Stanley Pipeline was working on Hagerman Court, that's off High Street, when one of the workers was checking a piece of equipment that stopped working. Police say the machine kicked back on just as the man grabbed it. His arm was amputated at the elbow. He was rushed to UK Hospital. His co-workers tell us he was conscious and appeared to be in good spirits despite that awful accident.
Many of us drive on it every day, but you may not realize how dangerous a stretch of road in Lexington has been for people trying to walk across it. Last night, a car hit and killed a man trying to cross North Broadway near Loudon. And overnight, another woman was hit by a car nearby. As Victor Puente tells us new at 6, Lexington police say these are examples of a big problem in that area.
This stretch of road has seen multiple pedestrians hit by cars. 2 of those were within the last 24 hours. A fatal crash on Broadway around 7 was followed up by a crash at a neighboring intersection in front of a Rite Aid around midnight. People who walk this area say they're not surprised when they hear that kind of news.
People, they do not stop you, I'm telling you. When you're walking across this intersection, you're taking your life in your hands.
Police say the man killed in the first crash wasn't in the crosswalk. According to police records, since 2011, there have been 39 pedestrians hit on Broadway, not including last night. That's the highest number for a road in Lexington, although New Circle had 38. The police say that number doesn't necessarily mean there's a problem with the road.
People say this is a dangerous intersection, but I don't agree with that. I think the way that people use this intersection is dangerous and is irresponsible in many cases.
In just a few minutes today, our camera was able to catch multiple people either crossing when they didn't have a walk sign or ignoring the crosswalks altogether. Police say even when pedestrians do obey the law, they could still be in danger.
Even if you do have the light, you still have to be careful. You still have to look both ways. I think that everyone in Lexington knows that people are notorious for running red lights and speeding up during yellow lights.
Am I going to get hit today? That's exactly what's going on. I'm telling you.
The woman who was hit while walking near that Rite Aid was taken to UK Hospital. Police expect she will recover from her injuries. In Lexington, Victor Puente, WKYT.
According to police records from 2011 to September of this year, 592 pedestrians were hit on Lexington roads. That number does not include the crashes from yesterday.
You feel it as soon as you step outside. Temperatures have taken a huge drop in the last day. And as Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey tells us, get used to this Arctic blast.
Yeah, it's going to stick around for a while, at least through the next week and change. Look at how much colder we are now than at this same point yesterday. We are 30 degrees colder into parts of eastern Kentucky, Somerset, 32 degrees colder than at the same point yesterday evening, 25 degrees colder. Where does that put us? 35 for Lexington as of right now. Yesterday at this time, we were right at 60 degrees in many areas. Current temperatures into the mid and upper 30s. Most areas staying in the 30s for those high temperatures today. And with a gusty wind, it feels colder than that. A wind chill of 30 right now into Lexington and Danville. Look at Somerset down to 28 for that all-important wind chill number. That's what you should be dressing for. Nothing on Live First Alert Defender, though. A couple of reports of a few snow flurries. Speaking of, check out the snow flurries that are flying across parts of the Great Lakes and the western Ohio Valley. Some of those are going to try to scoot in here for the day tomorrow. We'll track that threat and show you when it arrives, and also a little better threat for some snow, guys, by the end of the upcoming weekend as this pattern takes on a rather January look.
Chris, thank you. Just as this cold weather arrives, many people who don't have a home are receiving some help. Today, God's Net in Lexington gave out more than 1,000 blankets to organizations who give to the homeless. The Christian Appalachian Project donated the blankets to God's Net. Those who help the homeless tell us teamwork goes a long way.
This way, it's those who already have relationships with the families and with the individuals being able to give them a blanket to keep warm through this weekend.
The Catholic Action Center in Lexington will be open around the clock through Monday night to help anyone needing a place to stay warm. Well, this early blast of winter has many heating repair companies working overtime. They're busy helping homeowners repair or tune up those heating systems.
So what can you do to make sure your heating system doesn't break down during this Arctic blast or any time this winter? WKYT's Sam Smith talked to the experts.
Service technician Matt Amick is on a routine call for a broken thermostat. The homeowner here spent last night without any heat. He says a problem with a thermostat is a simple fix, and more complicated and expensive problems can be prevented.
You want to be on a seasonal maintenance plan. You need to have somebody come out and check all the safeties on them.
Amick says a homeowner can do some simple maintenance on his or her own. He says dirty filters are among the most common issues he sees because some people don't routinely change them, and a dirty filter could leave you in the cold.
Which will cause a furnace to overheat, cause it to turn off and lock out. Same thing with heat pumps. It'll cause them to freeze up and for people not to have any heat, and that's just a basic that anybody can do.
Amick says they're approaching their busy time of year at Fayette Heating and Air.
That's for sure. The first cold snap, we're running a lot of hours, but of course we're open 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, so we get a lot of calls.
So now is the time to have a qualified technician check everything out to make sure you can get someone to your home and to make sure everything is working this winter. In Lexington, Sam Smith, WKYT.
And if you have an older home, you should also have your insulation checked in order to get the most out of that furnace.
The mother of a Laurel County toddler who fell out of a second-story window tells us that little girl is doing much better tonight. And she says 2-year-old Shia Morgan has been released from Kentucky Children's Hospital. The mother says Shia was playing with her brother Monday night at a home in the Corbin Manor Apartments when that girl somehow fell out of the window. A babysitter was in charge at the time, but the mother claims only a neighbor rushed to help Shia after that fall. The girl suffered only some cuts and bruises.
Well, maybe you've seen it. Her mugshot went viral online, and it became one of the most clicked-on stories at WKYT.com. Tonight, we have an update on a Laurel County woman arrested on meth charges while wearing an I Heart Crystal Meth T-shirt. The Laurel County Sheriff's Office arrested 37-year-old Deborah Asher last week. We've now learned her case has been sent to the grand jury, which will meet later this month. People in the community called her a Grinch after police accused her of not paying her employees just before Christmas. Now a former restaurant owner has been arrested. The Anderson County Sheriff's Office says 68-year-old Lou Compton was arrested in Detroit last month. She's charged with theft by unlawful taking. Compton used to own the Dairy Cheer in Lawrenceburg. Just before Christmas of 2011, employees say Compton suddenly closed the restaurant and skipped town without giving them thousands of dollars in pay.
A former Lexington police officer who resigned after harassing a teenage soccer referee has been denied a disability pension again. City leaders say Lexington's Police and Fire Pension Board made that decision this morning during a rehearing for Keith Spears. Spears requested the second hearing after the board denied his previous request in August. Spears pled guilty to harassment earlier this year. Last fall, investigators say he confronted a 13-year-old referee after a soccer game in Scott County. Spears resigned from Lexington Police in June. Lexington city leaders also say that police and fire pension reforms continue to save you, the taxpayer, millions of dollars. They say an evaluation by a firm that works with government pensions found Lexington has the most effective pension reform in the country. The city negotiated reforms with police and fire representatives last year. The reforms decreased the amount the city has to pay into a pension fund and reduced unfunded liability.
An unusual chain of events tied up rush hour traffic on a busy Lexington road. Investigators say a car being driven by police clipped a fire department van on Winchester Road near 7th Street. They say the crash then caused the van to hit a utility pole and a BMW parked at a used car dealership. Some traffic lights were knocked down in the crash. Fortunately, no one was injured. At last check, traffic was going back to normal in that area. If you're looking for a deal on a place to live, a new report says you don't need to look far.
The report from Kiplinger names Lexington as one of the top 10 affordable big cities in the U.S. The report looked at the cost of living for every American city with a population of at least 250,000. Lexington ranked 7th on the list with a cost of living more than 10% below the U.S. average. Louisville also made the top 10 list as well.
His name is synonymous with the University of Kentucky. From buildings to roads, Thomas Poe Cooper's name is adorned on many things around campus. Tonight, you can add another one. This afternoon, a historical marker was dedicated on Woodland Avenue. It pays tribute to Cooperstown, the graduate student housing area that was recently torn down to make way for new undergraduate housing.
His legacy is well known around the university. Still lots of things nearly 100 years after he arrived on this campus still named after him. And so it means a lot to us to remember him and remember what he contributed to the university.
Tom Hammond's grandfather. Cooperstown first opened back in the 1940s as student housing for World War II veterans.